All right, this is Donovan Dreyer here, and I'm with Aurus Sanchez, and we're talking about the Monetize Your Passion Blueprint. In this summit, we're doing this series of interviews with people who are living the dream, so to speak. You know, they're earning a livelihood out there and staying true to what they love in life. So Aurus, welcome. Thank you for being on.
Hey, Donovan, how are you? Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here. I'm really excited. And for everyone who's watching, hello, everyone. What's up? I'm just pumped right now. I'm feeling the adrenaline go through me, and I'm just ready to give as much value as I can to everyone who's about to listen or who's listening right now.
Sweet. All right. So why don't you kick it off with a little bit of background for us? Can you tell us the story of how you earn your living doing what you love, you know, getting after it and going for the things that you feel like you're geared for and set up for in life?
All right, no problem. I'm going to try to make this as interesting as I can for everyone who's listening and not bore anyone, because that's not the point. So what I do, first of all, is that I teach people how to become ultimate entrepreneurs, conversationalists, speakers, and interviewees. And I also teach people how to become ultimate marketers too, and how to kill it on social media. Now, I love these 5 topics. I'm very passionate about it. I'm like in love with these topics. I can talk about it all day. And what I do is I live here in New York City, and I do seminars and workshops at high schools, colleges, nonprofits, businesses, companies, and I was doing like a lot of consulting for like small firms and one-on-one. So any of those topics, I teach them either in big audiences or one-on-one or small groups. And I also do like social media marketing, advertising for businesses, and I help them out and I consult them, or I do it for them. So that's like what I mostly do. But everything started with the public speaking. And what happened was that when I was younger, I don't remember, since I was young, since I was small, from what I remember, I had a terrible, really bad speech impediment. Like I used to stutter like I literally I couldn't speak. I used to have a really bad stutter. And because of that stutter, I was insecure, I was shy, I couldn't express my feelings, I couldn't say what I was really thinking, what I was passionate. I just couldn't, because I would stutter, literally I couldn't speak. Until like I saw all these opportunities around me, I was missing out so much. So until one day I told myself internally, it was around like middle school, I told myself, Aurus, today's the day that I'm going to try to little by little overcome this problem. So then after the next couple years, without going to speech therapy, I never went to speech therapy, I little by little started to overcome it, because I started to learn about my problem, which was the stutter, and how to overcome it, and certain techniques to stop it or to just beat it for a while. And now today I still have that problem. I still have the stutter. It comes out, but I've learned to tame it. It's like how you learn how to tame a dog, or the people that work in the circus, did they learn how to tame a tiger? I've learned to tame it so it won't come out. But there are times where it does come out, but that's how I began. And then I started to learn about that. And then I fell into the world of communication, and I just loved it so much. I learned so much about it, and then I started applying it. And then people started telling me, Aurus, you're such a great conversationalist. And at first I took it as a compliment, but as time went by, I kept hearing it over and over and over. And I was like, okay, there's something here. And then from that point on, I was like, I need to capitalize on this.
That's awesome. That's a great story. So, you know, you actually started off with a pretty big like hurdle or a barrier that you've turned into a positive. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about maybe, you know, if you're looking at as a teenager, a young person out there who sees one of those obstacles and maybe they're kind of moving their way along that dream. Okay. I want to get into that a little bit more, because that's such a hard thing, you know, when you have something that kind of gets in the way, maybe not even out of day one, because it's almost like that's what built into your opportunity. But tell me a little bit more of that story, or like what you would share to help other people kind of cross those barriers or come up against those obstacles and bust through.
So I would say this. Well, this goes really good with personal branding. And let me explain something. What happens is that a lot of times we think to ourselves and we're like, oh, I regret that I did this, or I regret that I have this problem. I don't want this problem. It sucks. And I used to think that way too. I was like, why do I have this problem? If I had this problem, I'd be a much better person, or I'd be much smarter, or I'd be better looking, or I'd be better dressed, or whatever the case was, right? It could be anything. But here's the thing. If you're just trying to succeed in any part of your life, maybe get a job, graduate college, pass high school and stuff like that, your problems makes the person you are today. So the person you are today, you are that person because of what you're struggling through. The reason why it took me a while to realize this, is that speech impediment, that problem that I had, has helped me. And I've used it I found the positive side of it, which is a hard thing to find a positive out of your negatives. But if you can really sit down and be like, okay, what can I take out of this? What lesson can I take out of it? What experience can I take out of it? Right? Because you should never regret anything. Never. Why? Because if the day you regret something, that's when you start going down the road. Because one of my favorite quotes is this: never regret a day in your life. Why? The good days will bring you happiness. The bad days will bring you lessons. The worst days will bring you experience, but the better days will bring you memories. So if you can apply that in your life and find the positive out of your negatives, you can capitalize on that. And so something else, if you're trying to build a business or you're trying to monetize on your passion and you share your negatives with the world or online, people can relate to you. Because one little tip, if you sound too perfect or you look too perfect, you become unlikable. It's funny because you might think, I need to look perfect. I want to speak well. I want people to see me as the best person. But if you come off with that image, people are going to leave you because they're like, oh, he's too perfect, or he's too conceited. He's too cocky. He thinks he knows it all. I don't want to watch his stuff no more. But if you show a weakness, you show a vulnerability, that's what attracts people. People will come to you, and people that have the same thing, they're going to come to you. Then they are going to tell their friends. Their friends are going to tell their friends. And that's how you keep building. That one simple tip has helped me tremendously get to where I've been because I've shared my story. So share your story. Find a positive out of your negative. I know it's not easy. And you don't want to, it's just that we sometimes as youngsters, we think we know it all. See, that's the problem. We think we know it all. And then when we hear our parents or like people who are older enough say, come on, and they tell us to do the opposite, right? We want to do the opposite because it's just in our nature. We want to be rebellious. We want to show people that we're right. And I'm just 21, but it took me a couple years to realize this. And I'm telling you, 5 years from now, I'm probably going to learn more. So all of you who are watching, who are teenagers, first of all, I know what you're going through. You probably don't want to realize the problem you have, but you need to face it, find the positive, and say it to the world, especially if you want to monetize on it. And parents, if you're watching this, there's smarter ways to approach your kids, your children, and telling them what to do. And I know this because I've been very blessed, as we can say. I've been blessed in the fact that I have like 2 moms, 2 dads, two of everything. And I say that because I have a father and a mother, but they got divorced. And then my mother, she remarried. Then I got into my stepfather's family, who I've been blessed, who were awesome to me because I wasn't easy to raise, but they were great to me. I had my father's family, my mother's family, and my stepdads and my father's family were very good. And the way they raised me, even though they were my step family and then my real family, I was able to see how they raised me up and the right way to do it. And so many parents do it the wrong way. So from a son's perspective, I know how that is, and I've seen the right way and the wrong way to do those things.
Cool. All right, so tell me, like, heat of the moment. Like,
yes.
Get real with somebody, so that you're on the other side. You know, you took something right from day one, and it was hard, and you can see how I like this, like pulling the positive out of the negative.
Yeah.
But in the heat of the moment, when things are just jacked up and it's really a problem, right there in that moment, what's one thing that people could grab onto so that they're like, okay, I need to remember that I'm going to pull the positive out of this. This is really messed up. But you don't want to go off and do something stupid. You don't want to make bad decisions. I mean, in the heat of the moment,
mm-hmm.
I mean, ideally you're going to be able to pull that positive out, but
yeah,
the reality is it's really, really tough not to make a bad decision when you're younger and you're in that heat of the moment. So tell me, like, one thing to grab onto that can help them out.
Oh man. Well, one thing, if I had to pick one thing, I'm going to say this. When you're in the heat of the moment, at that moment, you're just angry, and you don't want to do something stupid, like what you just mentioned. Get out. Wherever you are in that environment, get out of the environment. Or whoever you're with, leave that person. I'm not saying run away, go forever. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is just leave that environment. And let me say why. Because when you stay in that environment, the more you stay and you're in the heat of the moment, at that moment, it's not about logic. It's emotions that come into play. You're angry, you're frustrated, you're sad, you're depressed. Whatever the case is, you might want to hit someone, you might want to punch something, you might want to scream, yell, curse. You got to leave. You got to leave the place. Like, go to your room, go for a run, start walking outside. Just get out of there. I'm serious. It works. It works because the more you stay there, the more probability you're going to do something stupid, you're going to mess something up, or you're going to get in trouble with the law enforcement or with your parents or yourself, or you might do some damage. You need to leave and just think and really, once you're alone, really be real with yourself and don't BS yourself. Wait, can I curse? Well, I'm not cursing, but I said BS. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay, cool. Okay. All right, cool. So it's like, you can't BS yourself. The reason why so many youngsters do so many mistakes is because they BS themselves. They're like, I was right. My father shouldn't have said that to me, or I was wrong. Yeah, but they were probably wrong to a certain degree, but you shouldn't have said that, or you shouldn't have disrespected them, or you shouldn't have humiliated them at that moment in front of those people. Or maybe you shouldn't have done that. So you need to go outside, be alone, just be somewhere alone and really think to yourself, should I have done that? Should I really have done that? And then the hardest part is this: go back to the environment and apologize. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part. But I'm telling you, if you can become a person, everyone's watching, if you can become a person, there's a place to anyone. If you can become a person and you can actually come to the other person and just try to fix it and really apologize from your part and learn to fix those problems, I'm telling you, your life is going to become less guilty subconsciously, and you will become a much better person, guaranteed. Why? Because you're a stronger person than the other person. You're admitting to your mistakes, and in the long run, you'll become likable. Why? Because you're admitting to your mistakes and you know that you're wrong and you're trying to fix it one way or another, right? But a quick little hack is this: when you're in the heat of the moment, count 10 to 1, but backwards, slowly in your head. The guy who came up with this technique, believe it or not, was Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson. And he said, if you count from 10 to 1 backwards, slowly, your anger will go from a 10, maybe to a 6 or 5. And it definitely does work.
Cool. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's really good stuff. Get out of that environment, but you got to come back. I like that part. That was going to be my follow-up is, all right, okay, what would be the next step? And you totally covered that. So I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, you talked about being a conversationalist, and I think this really kind of taps into your special sauce, like what you bring to the table, like what kind of connected us. And tell me a little bit about this listening to learn and being a conversationalist, and why you think that's so important.
So how do I say this? I just so much to say, but I want to condense it. It's this, but I want to get to the point and tell everyone like the real sauce is this. Skills that people might have, for example, Facebook advertising. Are you good on Facebook advertising? You're good at Instagram hashtags. I don't know. You're probably good at mowing the lawn. I'm just giving examples, right? Those are skills that can be bought cheaply. Those are skills that anyone can possess, right? So I'll say that first. Becoming a conversationalist, yeah, people can have good communication skills, but becoming a conversationalist, that's priceless. Why? Because becoming a conversationalist, because a conversation is a person that can talk to anyone, anytime, any place, at any given moment. Anyone, at any time, anywhere. And when you're a conversation, you can open up doors for yourself, connections, opportunities. Because when you're a conversationalist, you have the skills you can have the ability to communicate effectively with any type of person, and they get to know you, like you, and trust you. That small formula, if you can have people know you, like you, but I mean really like you and trust you together, which a conversationalist can build that in time. People will give you opportunities. They'll give you jobs. They'll like you. They'll give you their place to crash. They might even give you money. They might invest in you. They might spend time with you because they like you. If people like you, doors open immediately. I'm telling you. And you build rapport. You learn how to lower people's inner guards, because every time you meet someone, people's inner guards are always up. They're like, okay, what does this person want? And it makes sense. They're a stranger. You don't know them. But a conversation has the ability not to manipulate, because we're not here to manipulate no one. We're just trying to bond with people and see how we can help each other out. That's it. But that's the importance of a conversationalist. You stand out from everyone else. In a world where it's so competitive in any industry, that putting on your resume or that putting on your personal brand is essential, showing that you will have EQ skills, personal skills, emotional intelligence skills. You can show that. That's amazing. And it can help you from point A to point Z. Now, what was the other question? I forgot. I forgot it.
Let's carry on that one. Let's carry on that conversation.
All right, go. Continue.
So with that piece of it, so what's one thing that people could put in to to add to that ability. So if you're looking at a teenager, young person, and they're looking to capitalize on that and make that a part of who they are, what's a way to build in your ability, or what's a way to add to your ability when it comes to being a conversationalist and connecting that way?
Well, there's so many different ways to become a conversationalist. It's just, first of all, it's like anything else. You got to put practice into it. And the more you practice, that cliche thing, the more you practice, you get better at it. Okay. So that's obvious. But here's the other thing. You really have to be interested in the other person. It's that simple. If you can show that interest, right? Once you can at least have a little bit of interest in the other person, things become a little bit easier. How so? Because here's one secret that I want to give out. That's really important, that sometimes we know, but we don't do. It's like if I gave a bunch of students the answers to a test. I mean, I'm not saying to go cheat, guys. I want to give you guys an example. I give you the answers to a test, and you didn't study, and then when the test comes, you didn't memorize the answers, or you're not looking at the answers, and then you fail the test, and then you fail, and then you're sad. But it's your fault because you had the answers, but you didn't do it. Same thing with this. What happens is this. The one important principle is, if you can give other people the opportunity to speak about themselves, what they're passionate about themselves, and you give them that opportunity, people at the end of that convo, that conversation, they will love you. Now, this is just one principle I always like to give first. I can give 1,000 because I'm in love with this topic. But if you can give people that opportunity and capitalize on that, which means give people that opportunity to speak about themselves. And it doesn't matter if they're shy, if they're outgoing, if they're nice, if they're mean. No matter who you meet, if you give people that opportunity, at the end of that conversation, they're going to be like, I like this guy, or I like this girl. There's something about them that's so warm or kind. It could be that, but it's because you gave them that chance. Like, you open up the door for them. Like, hey, go right ahead. Because in today's day, people don't get that opportunity. They really don't. When I first started learning about conversation, I actually learned this technique in a book, a great book. It's an old book, but if you read this, just this one book, anyone who's watching, this one book. I mean, I suggest a bunch more, but just this one book, which is the foundation. I promise you, your communication skills will improve at least 40 to 50%, at least, which is this. The book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Very famous book, but there's certain sections that really go into detail, which is really good. But now, it's not only about reading, but then actually implementing. So if you can show interest, you start to read a little bit like that one book, and you give people the opportunity to speak about themselves, right? They'll start to ask you questions, then you start to engage, blah, blah, and then you actually begin to implement. But you need to put yourself in situations where you're going to meet people and talk to people. Because you can read this stuff, but then stay home all day doing nothing. So it's like, I get it. It's scary talking to new people, talking to new girls, new teachers, going to college, going to high school. I get it. It's scary. I've been there. But you got to little by little, but I mean little by little, step out of your comfort zone. Like, people have misunderstood. Like, when I say out of your comfort zone, people immediately, if they're shy, they go from day one and day two, they're trying to talk to 10 people at once. No, you can't do that. You just cannot do that. Maybe if you go to a networking event or a party and you see someone that's alone in a corner, maybe go up to them and start speaking to them, start conversation. Like, hey, I don't really know anyone here. What's your name? You look like a friendly person. Right there, I broke the ice. People overcomplicate that process of breaking the ice, but there's a million ways to break the ice. It's just that we as human beings, we overcomplicate it. It's not about the beginning. Always remember, it's not about what you talk about in the conversation. Because people will forget what you spoke about, but it's about how you made them feel. It's how you made them feel during that convo, during that interaction, that people will have positive feelings about you. So when they see you, they're like, hey, there's Donovan. Hey, there's Aurus. Hey, there's Susan, Maria, or whatever the case. It could be anyone. That's what you're trying to go for. So just those few basic principles, which if later on, if you want me to go into more advanced and intermediate, I could definitely do. But those basic first principles it's like lighting a match. Once you have the match on, that's when you begin your road to becoming a conversationalist, because you're starting to use those principles and actually applying them at school, at work, at your internship, online, and so much more.
Yeah, that's really good. I like the piece where, you're opening that door, and you're right. It's a world where everybody's talking, and like, nobody's gonna remember that stuff. But the way that your little secret sauce then on helping people feel good is you're opening that door that nobody else opens, and those doors are like your ears, right?
Exactly.
It's basically letting people have that opportunity in the conversation to share who they are, share their story, and then actually have, like you said, you can't fake it. You've got to have the genuine interest. You got to be interested in people.
100%. Because if you don't have it, it's going to be so much harder. And believe it or not, people are not stupid. People can tell when you're faking it or not. Like, they can tell if you're paying attention or not. People can just notice. And actually, before you go to the next question, I'm just going to throw this because I think this is actually a really cool psychological trick to see. If you're ever in a conversation with a group of people or with someone, look at their feet. Why? Because if you're interacting with someone, because what happens is that a lot of times you could be talking to someone and they could be facing you and looking at you and everything and laughing. And you might say, oh, this person's really engaged. But look at their feet. If their feet are pointing towards somewhere else,
Can't see them.
my feet are totally over there, so I'm not engaged. I'm kidding. No,
So,
but there's only
keep going.
but this only applies if you're talking to them like face to face, right? So if their feet are pointing towards, like, let's say like the exit door, or they're pointing towards somewhere else, but it's not you, they're faking it, believe it or not. They're looking at you, it looks like they're paying attention, but their mind is, I want to go, or I want to go somewhere else. And I'm not making this up. There's a book called The Definitive Book of Body Language, and they talk about it there, and they show scientific research showing this about the feet. And the reason why this happens is because the feet are so far apart from our brain, but we as humans, it's very easy for us to actually fake our facial expressions or our arm movements. Why? Because it's closer to our brain. So the more distal, the more lower you look at someone's body, you can tell if they're lying or if they're being fake or not. But that's a whole other art that I also love. But look at their feet to see if they're engaged in the conversation with you or not.
That's a cool one.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Aurus, I appreciate that you were willing to be vulnerable right out of the gates and talk about your, overcoming your stuttering. But maybe tell us one more about maybe a huge failure that you've had in life, and you like to pull that positive out of the negative. So tell me about a big epic fail and then what you learned.
Okay, cool. Oh man, there's just so many. I failed a lot. All right. I mean, you mean conversation wise, or you talking like business wise?
So just something that, we're getting real with kids that want to, it's tough to live your dream, man. I think it's a really small percentage of people who are out there living their dream, but we've got this paradigm shift happening in the world where everybody's now got a chance if they use those tools, like you said, that anybody can buy. Kids aren't even aware. I mean, the point of the summit is that there are some things that you can invest in and do that the modern kids and parents are not aware of. Everybody's aware of college, for instance.
Yes.
Some other opportunities out there. So when you look at, trying to help kids through a tough time, a lot of times it's like, oh, wow, man, this guy Aurus is 21 and, things are going well for him. Then, okay, that's just because he's awesome and he is a conversationalist. He's got it going on, but I can't really see myself doing that. So when we share a big failure, that's something is, can you weave that in so you can make a teenager feel like I can do this?
All right. So it was a mixture of things, actually. So it's basically, there was a point in my life where I was too cocky / like I was not adjusting / I did not forgive anyone, and I would never put myself in other people's shoes. So let me explain. What happens is that many times we think that we're it. So when I first started doing like my seminars, I was like 7. When I first started, I was like 17. So after my first big one, where it was like 500 people, I got really cocky. I don't know what got into me. I was conceited. I got cocky. I thought I was all it. And, I actually, when people would do things to me, right, I wouldn't forgive. I would speak bad about them and stuff like that behind their backs. Like, I was basically betraying people and backstabbing them. I was doing that. And what happened was that, and I wasn't adjusting, which means this. What happened was when I first started doing my seminars, there was a lot of opportunities that were coming to me, but because I thought I was so cocky and I was like, I don't need to adjust, I missed out opportunities. I missed out money opportunities. I missed out this opportunity of investment where I just had to there was a guy who was like willing to invest in me and everything, but he wanted me to start from the bottom. And I was like, I just did a seminar in front of 1,000 people. What do you mean you want me to start going to middle school and teaching kids about conversation? I'm past that. I don't need that. I'm so much better than that. And I missed an opportunity. And because of that, I missed the opportunity of so much engagement, so much success, so much exposure. I've also missed out money opportunities, and I messed up a lot of friendships because I wasn't willing to forgive. I wasn't willing to forgive, and I learned that the hard way, because then what happened was that then when I would do something bad, right? And then I wanted forgiveness, no one forgave me. I didn't have no friends. I was lonely for a time period. Like the only person I could go to was like what, my parents or my father, and that's it. But us as youngsters, we want friends. We want friends. We want people our age that we can go talk to. But because I was so, I just didn't forgive anyone, and I didn't believe in that when it was my turn. I felt that I was like, oh man, I screwed up badly. So I'm a really big fan of adjusting. So now that's why a couple years later, I started doing everything online, because I was like, I don't need to do anything online. People, they'll come to me. They'll come to me. Big mistake. No one came to me. And I actually had a lot of speaking gigs canceled because I didn't have an audience following me. I didn't have a fan base following me. I didn't. And so that was one. I wasn't adjusting. I was too cocky. I missed a lot of friendships. People didn't want to forgive me anymore. So I was like, I need to learn to forgive, because because it's easy for you to scream at someone, not forgive them, be so mean to them. But let's flip the papers. And now you are the one who needs forgiveness. Things change. And now you're looking for it, but no one wants to give it to you. You know why? Because you didn't give it back. You didn't give it back. And because you didn't give it back, now you're screwed up.
Yeah, that's a tough lesson.
Yeah.
So then how'd you turn it around? So that's the epic fail. Like you got to that point where you felt like you were all that, and then something switched. So I'm sure like a piece of that is not getting that forgiveness. What else was there to it? How did you make that turnaround?
What happened was that I at that point I realized I was lonely. I didn't have no one, and I was like, you know something. And then I was really sad, and then I was noticing that my stuttering was coming back much more. I was like, there's a problem here. So I was like, all right, I got to do something. So I was like, I'm teaching about conversation, but but I've been acting like so bad. I'm so mean. I'm the worst. What's the matter? And I'm teaching people how to communicate. What's wrong with me? So I was basically being a hypocrite. So I was like, as soon as I saw, I was like, I need to change. So what did I do? I started forgiving more. I started reading so much more. I started learning about it and actually applying it. Because it's easy to read stuff, but then once the situation comes, that's when you have to apply, and that's when you really truly see who you are as an individual, as a person. So then I started reading about it, forgiveness. My father has been a really big inspiration for me. I started talking to him a lot and much more, and then we got closer. I've always been close to him, but we got closer, and I learned a bunch. And then what happened was that what I did was I went back to all the people that I screwed over, or that I did something, and I one by one had to say, I'm really sorry, what can I do? But it wasn't like, well, what can I do? And it was true forgiveness. Now, I didn't get everyone back. I didn't, to be honest. But a lot of them, I was able to speak to them and talk to them again. So I realized that because my conscience was hurting me. I was like, how am I teaching something and I'm doing the opposite? It's like if I'm like teaching people about lung cancer and don't smoke, and then I'm smoking after I teach that, I'm being a hypocrite. And in my case, that was hurting my conscience a lot. And I was like, what am I doing? What's wrong with me? And then I started realizing I'm nothing. I could get hit by a car tomorrow, and that's it. No more Aurus. I mean, I don't want that to happen to me, obviously, but you need to understand that no one owes you anything. You are nothing until you can bring value to the table, not to one person, but to millions or thousands of people. You're nothing until you can bring value. And still, once you get to that point, you're still nothing. You just are there to provide value. And if you can do that, you will find happiness. Telling you. Since that point on, which was years ago, and I started and until now, I've seen the benefits of that. Me and my father have gotten closer. I have better friends now. I see what people are going to benefit from me, what people are not going to benefit from me. I have only on Instagram 16,000 followers, which you shouldn't really focus about the followers, but these people are really on my journey. Like they really support me. They send me messages, DMs, asking me questions. They offer me their homes. If I go to California or Colorado, different states or different countries, they're offering me their home. I've jumped on Skypes with them. They're legit people. So it's like, once you can bring that value, learn to forgive others, and just really just be kind to everyone, because you never know who you're meeting. Never. I'm going to end. I want to say this until we jump to the next topic or question, which is you need to be kind and you need to be nice to everyone, because you never know how that person is going to help you in the future. You never know. Even the janitor, what if he hits the lottery one day and he stumbles upon my videos? He's like, yo, I love your stuff. I want to invest in your business. I'll give you $1 million. And I was being mean to him 5 years ago. He's going to remember that. Mm-hmm. And then people are like, but what if you don't like that person? Then I'll tell you this, be neutral. Don't say anything. Try to avoid conflict. You know how you win arguments? You don't start them. It takes two to tangle. It takes two to start. Really simple. Just don't start it. Stay neutral. Stay out of their way. So eventually, if they come to you for a favor or they want to help you in some way, they have no meat on you. They have no beef with you. They got nothing bad to tell you because you weren't there. And if you're kind to everyone, right? If you're kind to everyone, telling you, little fruits to start to come down. It just happens in time, of course.
Nice. Man, that's really good. I definitely know that it's tougher to get kids to create those bridges you're talking about, build those connections that are going to benefit you in the future. And yeah, you got to do both. I think you touched on that at first you didn't do the online piece and that hurt you. And I think definitely in our generation, we got maybe kids and grownups too, that are maybe spending too much time. So that healthy balance of utilizing these different ways that we can make our connections in life is, I think, a big thing. So yeah, that was really good. I like your comeback too, to be able to go out and find, to apologize and have people forgive you. I mean, that's tough to do.
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do. It really isn't.
All right. Well, I had another one on here. One of the things that I think is part of this new paradigm in business is competition is maybe old school, and collaboration. So you're like, if at very worst, be neutral with somebody. So I think you probably buy into this concept that the world's changing, and that rather than trying to beat somebody, it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. And you see what's happening, like the basketball, for instance, like March Madness isn't just one channel anymore. It's like 3 or 4 different channels. So even like these really big people out there are, big corporations are teaming up. So tell me about your thoughts on the power of collaboration versus, that old school competition where it's like, hey, if you're, ready for the real world, you got to fight, climb those ladders, step on people. What do you think's the new thing on the horizon?
It's, well, first of all, my thoughts on both. You can do both. I'm not saying you can just collaborate and don't compete, or you can compete and don't collaborate. I feel like you should do both. I personally, to be completely honest, I do probably like 95% collaboration and maybe 5% or less of competing. That's just me. But of course, every person is different. Their brand, their company is different, whatever the case is. I personally believe that because I am not here to beat you out. I don't care. And this is just my opinion, but I've seen what works and I'm seeing like what's happening. A lot of YouTubers are coming together. A lot of companies, like you mentioned, they're coming together because they see that they can help each other out. Say, hey, I can give you this, you give me this. Let's make a deal. We don't have to fight over this, right? Or let's do this. We can do this project. We can collaborate on this video, on this post, whatever. I personally love to collaborate. I love it. Why? Because especially in my position, I can elaborate. I can help these people who want to compete with me or stuff like that. But first of all, I don't really get a lot of people who want to compete with me. That's first of all, because I guess it's all about your personal branding. If your branding is like, oh, fight, warrior, you're going to get competitors. Like, all right. Did this guy think he's so good? Let's see how good he is, right? Or I just had my aura, or like just the way I go about things, I'm just open. I'm like an open book. Like you can just open me, you can watch all my contact, send me a DM, and we can talk and we can collaborate. I'm just about that, and I've seen the benefits. I've done collaboration on Snapchat, on podcasts, on Instagram videos, on YouTube videos, on speaking engagements, and I just see the power of it because they're leveraging my connections, and I'm leveraging their connections. Because when that happens, you both grow at the same time. Not just me. I'm not just being selfish, or I want to beat this person. You can go down that road. You want to go down that road, there's no problem, right? And there's many people who've done it and have been successful. But it's going to be a little bit harder, a little bit more bumpier. What you should do is learn to stand out from everyone else, stand out from the competition. Don't look too much at the competition. Do you show your own persona, show your own vulnerability, but collaborate with your competitors or collaborate with people in your niche. that's the right way to do things. And you're going to see you're definitely going to scale it up 100,000%.
Yeah, I definitely buy that idea of doing you. I like that. Definitely for me. And it's not a competitive thing. It's like I've made an Instagram post that kind of represents everything I do simply by just having a puzzle piece with that smiley face on it that's finding its little vacant spot on planet Earth. Where is your fit in the world? And you have to do you to figure that out. You've got to figure out that puzzle piece side of it first. So I like that.
Yeah, and it's like but the most important part is this: put your personality into it. I mean, you can see like Ty Lopez or Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone. Like, these are big people, and they took them years to get there. But why do people love them so much? Why do they have fans? Because they're showing their personality. Gary Vaynerchuk is all about being crazy and about, cursing. He's on stage and he's just very hypey. And people love that about him. He's very inspirational, very motivational. He gives practical stuff. Ty Lopez is more calm. He's a cool guy from California with the luxury but about reading, getting knowledge. And people that follow him, they like that stuff. Grant Cardone's about fast pace, talk fast, real estate. If you like that, you go into that. So if you can show who you are through podcasts, written form, videos, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, which, by the way, I love Instagram Live. We can talk about that later. I'm in love with Instagram Live, right? It's a great way to build your community. You got to really show who you are. That's why people click follow or subscribe, because they like your content and they like you. That's why. So it's better to have 1,000 people on any social media that are really into you and they follow you and they support you, than having 100,000 people. They're like, he's okay. I just watched one video. But I'm not gonna buy anything. It's that simple.
Yeah. Cool. Let me pull out something else here. Let me see here.
Yeah, come on. Bring them coming.
You hit one of your favorite books. Do you have another big one? You had Dale Carnegie's book with Friends and Influence. So who else, or maybe who's another big influence on you? Hey, you can answer both of those questions. If you have, another favorite book, or maybe it's a podcast or YouTube channel you like. What is one of your big influences out there in life? Who's really moved you?
All right, so it's a lot. So what I always say on my channel is, like, whatever I recommend, books, people, or influencers, whatever, I say all this because I also want you to connect with them, or I also want you to read them, or I also want you to hear it. And when you do that, you'll see why I said it. So first I'll tackle books. So I have like more than 150 books in my house. I buy books all the time off Amazon, and I reread them. So a couple great books too. Okay, so I said How to Win Friends and Influence People. Another great book that I would say would have to be The Art of Persuasion by Bob Burg. What I love about the book, it teaches you how to be persuasive, but using practical, easy advice. So it's not super complicated, because there's some books out there really, when it comes to influencing and persuasion, it's complicated. Like, you got to use this technique, mix this one at the right time. And those books are cool and everything, but you have to build up to get to that level. Sometimes they can be complicated. But The Art of Persuasion is definitely one by Bob Burg. Another one, what I would say, is books by William Ury. William, U-R-Y, like Getting Past No or Getting to Yes. Like books on when it comes to not argumenting, but like how to have a win-win situation when there's like debates at everyday situations and stuff like that. If you're into business, the Ask Gary Vee book, fantastic book. Ask Gary Vee show, or the Ask Gary Vee book, fantastic book. I actually have his book right now on me right now. I just finished reading it by the third time already. I have his book right here. I don't get paid by this. I don't get paid or anything to promote it. It's a great book if you're into like entrepreneurship and stuff. His books are really good. Ty Lopez stuff is pretty good too. I'm trying to think of other books and stuff like that. Actually, a couple people that I would definitely recommend checking out on Instagram. And it's good that I say this because they're actually like, they're not too hard to reach. So they're pretty easy to reach. So if you send them a DM, they'll answer you back. Like, Call Me Sinatra, great guy from New York. He has like over 30,000 fans. And he's also, he's like a 20-something-year-old guy, great entrepreneur. He has so much wisdom. I've learned a lot from him business-wise. Jimmy Parent, guy from Phoenix, Arizona. And again, I'm not getting paid to say these people. I'm just people that if you want help, these people are willing to help you. Jimmy Parent, he works for Tech Academics. Awesome guy. Work with Onel. Oh my God, that guy. If you really want to learn about social media and entrepreneurship, that guy is the way to go. He has like over 30,000 people to follow him.
What was that name?
Work with Onel. with Onel, O-N-E-L. Great guys. So yeah, those are some books. Let me see what else. I'm trying to think of other books because I have so many at home. There's actually another one. It's called, what's it called again? Man, I'm trying to, Instant Influence. Instant Influence. It shows you a 6-step process to get to kind of like get to people's hearts or get them to open up. A great book. And it shows you like a 6-step process, how to work a room. There's just so many. I could give like 100 books right now, but I just want to give some books that have really gotten to me and really helped me out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got this world that's like chock full of information too. And I think the more complicated stuff is for later.
Yes.
It's definitely easy to rabbit hole. So you picked out some awesome favorites for sure. So tell me, let's weave into, so people have, there's two questions I really have left to ask you. One is, and I'll let you pick them whichever word you want. I want to know like how people can figure out how to do you. Like, how do you figure out who you are?
Okay.
And, the second one I want to talk about is the importance of mentorship and getting support. So a lot of times you can just make your mistakes in the world and figure it out on your own. Which one would you rather go for? Is like, how do you figure out who you are? Or do you want to answer the importance of mentorship and support?
I'll answer both because they're really good topics. And I know that parents and they kind of do lead together. I know parents and guys, teenagers who are watching, or young gals or young girls that are watching really want to know this. So first of all, I know that there's a saying that says it's learn from your mistakes. And I definitely get that. But if you could learn from other people's mistakes and you don't do them, I'd rather go down that approach. And I've done that a lot, especially with things that come with business and life things. I've seen what other people have messed up in, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. I don't want to go down that route. So let me like stay on my lane, or let me avoid that completely. And then I just do me. Now, how can you find out what you want to do? So there's a couple ways, but it's all about really self-awareness, like really thinking like, okay, what is it that I'm good at? But also then saying, can I see myself doing this every single day for the rest of my life, even if I didn't get paid for it? Now, of course, eventually you want to get paid for it. And eventually down the road, you have to find a way to get paid for it, for that thing that you're passionate about, right? But right now we're talking about the beginning. Can you see yourself doing that every single day? Like when I was younger, I mean, I love tricks, like card tricks, coin tricks, mind tricks. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. And then when I started, I was like, what, 13 probably? And when I was like 16, I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I can do this, yay. And it didn't really go down that route. Because I really thought to myself, can I see myself doing this every single day for the rest of my life? And I could do it as a hobby, but not more than that. And I love it, but only to that level. So then I really have to think, all right, what else is it that I love? Again, it comes to a point where you cannot BS yourself. You cannot lie to yourself. When you're alone thinking to yourself, don't lie to yourself. Like, for example, some people are like, I'm a good person. I mean, I did this well. I'm trying to do my best. No, you got to stop and be like, I'm not that good. I'm not that good of a student. Or I'm not really studying well enough. Or I'm so lazy. Once you start doing that real talk, then you can really find out what you're good at. And then once you find that, something to confirm it is what you can do. A very practical thing that you can do. Take out your phone, look at all your contacts, and send them a text message. Say, hey, if you had to describe me in 3 words, what 3 words would you describe? Or if you could say what I'm really good at, what would you say? And then whatever answers the most you get, that's what people view you as, or that's what people see that you're better at, or your qualities, and then go with that. That's a really good practical thing that I love teaching that can apply to many different things. So once you have that, and now now it's about executing. How? Building a personal brand. So some people are like, I'm just gonna start a business. Okay, but build your brand with your business, because if you build a brand with your business, you're going to explode. It's gonna be so much better. Why? Because you're the face of the company, or you're the face of the business. It could be any business. And if you show your story, how you started, like what are you doing behind the scenes? People love that stuff, especially today's day. That's why reality TV shows are so big. The Kardashians, all these famous people have their own TV shows. Why? Because people eat that. They love that. Like, why do you think social media is not going to stop in the next 10, 20 years? As a matter of fact, if you think that youngsters are on their phones all the time, which is true, if you think that's bad now, give it 5, 10, 15 more years. It's going to get much worse. People ask me in podcasts, what's the way to stop that? There is no way to stop it. There just isn't. Because technology is going to advance. Just think about when virtual reality comes into play. That's iPhones and Instagram is going to be probably like baby compared to virtual reality. Because now you can go anywhere and you can just stay in your house and just really feel like you're having an experience, right? So you have to now think, you need to build that personal brand. Sorry, I got a little off topic there, but you have to build your personal brand.
That's good
you
stuff.
It's the truth. And people don't think about this. So when you see all these changes in technology and stuff like that in social media, you need to adjust. Probably, who knows, probably 5 years from now, probably Instagram will die out. I hope not, but maybe it will. And then a new platform is going to come out. And then guess what? You got to go from that platform to another one. You can't stay there. So then you need to build your personal brand. People love to see what you're doing, how you're helping people, how you're making money. And if you can show that you're open, you're like, hey, if you want a business opportunity, do you want to partner up with me? Do you want to do a collaboration? People love that. And how do you do that? Engaging with your community, which means this. When people write a comment in your picture, don't just say, oh, that's nice, and that's it. Comment back. Say, hey, thank you so much for your picture. I really appreciate it. Or they send you a DM on Instagram. What I do personally, I send them a personal direct message. Mm-hmm. I don't text them. I send a personal direct message so that person knows I'm real, and they're like, oh, man, he really cared. He sent me a personal message, and he was so busy. So all of you who are trying to start a business or are in the process, it's all about once you have the audience, okay, you have them. Okay, good. Now feed them, engage with them, give them a lot of free content. And I think you've seen this, Donovan. I personally give so much free content. Just on my Instagram, I try to post every day, daily stuff, free videos, free pictures, give people opportunities to meet other of my connections, jump on free Skype calls, or maybe reduced paid phone, Skype calls, or like meet me in New York and you get to walk around with me for 1 hour and I'll teach you something. Like I'm just giving so much. More and more people just come and they're attracted to that. So if you can do the 51-49 principle, you give more than what you receive. I'm telling you, you're going to, in the long run, going to be receiving bigger and bigger and bigger things. So that answered the first question, did it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you did a great job with that piece of it. So tell us a little bit about that mentorship and getting the support out there. So it sounds to me like you find ways to make those connections with people in your tribe. But how about for you? What do you see as the value as you're growing and moving into not just learning it? I loved what you said earlier about it's not just like, hey, here's some knowledge to just sit within your house. Yes. You got to start applying it, but somebody might be afraid, they're afraid to apply it. And then it's the routine too. It's like, well, that's nice. I learned this thing, but I don't know really how it's going to develop into a habit. I don't really know it's going to become part of my life. So tell me about what you see in terms of the value of having somebody who's helping you through it.
Yeah. So I do believe in mentorships. It's 100%. Now, if they're paid or non-paid, they're both very valuable. I've had mentors. I have a bunch of mentors, but some of them I pay them because their time is extremely limited, and just to receive information from them, it's crazy. But most of them are to be completely honest, it doesn't have to be paid, or it could be free too. So yeah, I do believe it's very important to find mentors. Why? Because mentors are 5, 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you, doing what you want to do. So if you're going to find a mentor, you got to find a mentor that's doing exactly what you want to do, or has done something that you want. Like, you know what I mean? Has done something that you want. Now, when I mentor people, there's a difference between mentoring and having them as a client. There's a difference there. Mm-hmm. A client wants a lot of time from you. They want you to do a service for them. So then they have to pay me. They have to pay you. But a mentor, it's crazy because a mentor, yeah, they know you're busy and everything in the cases, but they only come to you when they really, really need you, or they only come to you, right? They only come to you when it's like, when you're free and stuff like that. So I only go to my mentors when I know they're free, and then I have like an hour, 2 hours with them. So that's good. But here's the real thing. Finding mentors, believe it or not, can be easy and cannot be easy. It just depends how much work you're willing to put in. I can give you so many ways to find mentors in 2 minutes. Extremely easy. Watch this. Because mentors, again, find them in your niche and find them because they've done something that you've done. And they save you so much time and errors that you have done. So much time and mistakes that you have done, they help you avoid that stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. So watch this. So let's say, there's a great app called Shaper, SHAPR, which is like which is like a business app where basically you put in your resume, like what industry you're in and what you're looking for. You're looking for a freelance, you're looking for a mentor. There's an option that says I'm looking for a mentor, and then you put in what you're good at, and then it matches you with people in your industry, in your state, or in your local county, or in your local town, and stuff like that. And then it's like you can message them, and then you can eventually meet them in person. Great app. It's free. I use it. I met people there. Great. Also, you can use Instagram. You can write mentors in New York, or you could write like CEO of small company or small business owners in Colorado or whatever the state, and you put it in the tag search, and whatever post comes out, you click on their profile and you reach out to them. Now, what I suggest is that send like 30 to 50 personal direct messages every day on Instagram if you're looking for a mentor, because they're not all going to answer you back, or they will never answer you back. Maybe 5 people will answer you out of those 50. So the more you reach out, the more people you will get. Referrals. Say, hey, do you know someone that's willing to mentor? I'm trying to learn this or that. Is there something that I can do, right? You can also be ballsy, go knocking on doors on businesses. Hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to look for someone who can help me out. I'm a youngster, or I don't have a lot, but I'm willing to learn very quickly. People are, you'd be surprised. People are willing to help others and be their mentors. A lot of people think, oh, it's so hard. It's not that hard. People are willing to help you. It's just about how you approach them, if you're a conversationalist, and if you know how to communicate with them effectively. And it's like you can find a mentor in any field, anything you ever want to do, or you want to learn, or you want to get better at, you can find them. It's just you putting in the work. And it's like, I've noticed that a lot of youngsters, right? They want to do everything. They want to find a mentor. They want to build their brand, but they're in college and they're in high school and they don't know and they don't know what to do. So then I tell them this: do a little bit of everything and get good with time management. How so? Because some kids, some teenagers, or even some adults, many adults too, they're still in that mental stage. Like they don't know what to do. How do I do this? How do I find a mentor? How do I finish this? How do I do that? How do I start a business? And I just say this: listen, what you should do is this. You can either go 2 ways. You can either go full time on what you really want to do, full time, but you got to know you're going to go through bumpy roads and you're going to go through hard times. I just want you to know that you can go down that route, which is no problem. You can do that. Another thing that you can do is actually have like a little base of support, and at the same time do everything else. Because the first option, you can find a mentor. You can go all in on what you're doing because you can do all that stuff. Or another thing that you can do, because none of them are wrong, none of them are wrong. You can do either one. And then the other one is have a little base of support. In the meantime, like a little bit of income, like a little part-time job, or go to school and learn a quick trade or something. But at the same time, do what you're passionate about, and eventually you'll get there. For example, my case, maybe something that a lot of you who probably you don't know is I'm actually about to finish college. And I actually went to college for physical therapy, actually. I went to college for physical therapy. Now, why? Many years ago, before I went to college and before I did physical therapy, I knew I wanted to do this. I knew it. But I was like, I'm going to need money. I got to be smart about this. I want to go all in, but I got to be kind of smart about this. So how can I be smart but work hard at the same time? Okay, let me do this. Let me do the hard things now. So what did I do? I went to college. I applied to PTA school. And then I got in, thank God. 2,000 people applied that 1 year, but they only accept 25, right, a year. So thank God I got in. I stood out as a conversationalist, and I used my personal brand to get in, actually. I used my personal brand, my social media. I used all that to get in, and they loved it. They were like, communication and physical therapy, great combination. So I got in, and it's like I learned a lot, but there's just so much to learn. So so quickly, I have a classmate who's a genius in that, and he knows so much about physical therapy, and he's like my mentor. What do? I buy him lunch. I get advice from him, right? And I've learned from him about physical therapy. Now, am I planning to do physical therapy forever? No. But at least I have a little base of support that can give me some part-time income as I build my dream and my passion. And once it gets big, I leave that and I go to my public speaking, which is going well. It's going very well. But I want it to be a less bumpy road. If you can make life a little bit easier, do that. You don't have to go to college for 5-10 years. Like what I did was a 2-year thing. That's it. I did 1 year prereqs and then 2 years of that. And then I learned. I also had another mentor who's actually one of the best guys when it comes to salary negotiation in America. His name is Jim Hopkinson. He's a mentor of mine. And I learned so much about interviewing, about salary negotiation with him. How did I get him? Through a referral. And I learned so much from him. I buy him lunches. I buy him little gifts here and there. You don't have to pay your mentors, but if you can show your appreciation by actually implementing what you learn, and, you know, from time to time, give a little gift here, build rapport, be their friend, actually get to know what they like. And maybe they love coffee, maybe send them a gift card to Starbucks or anything, right? Little by little, your life gets better. And it becomes a little bit easier because you're gaining so much knowledge. You make your life a little bit easier and you rise up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, mentorship is crucial. No matter how old you are, you can be 50, doesn't matter. You can be 16, and maybe if you're 50 and your mentor is a 16-year-old, don't be shy about that. Don't be shy about that. There's 16-year-olds who are killing it online. If you're a 50-year-old, you weren't born with this technology, so have him be your mentor. He'll teach you something, and maybe you can teach him about life or about relationships or about whatever, right? There's this kid who's teaching me about online things, and he's 16. I know a lot, but this kid is 16. He knows way more than me, so I'm learning from him. But you got to separate your ego from what's really happening. So I want to say all these things because I just want to give as much as little nuggets of wisdom that I've learned throughout many years. And I know that a lot of you who are watching are definitely going to get. And I know that everything I'm saying, Donovan, you 100% know this. And I know you have like your own stories and everything. But yeah, I 100% believe in mentorships. Go get one now. Or call me up.
All right. Yeah. So speaking of reaching out and connecting, Aurus, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way? I know like you and I got connected basically because I caught you on Instagram, or you might have followed me first. And, you know, I think that's one thing that people maybe don't recognize is there is that power of following somebody. And then like, not just because you're like looking to get them to follow you back, but like legit making that connection. You did send me one of those personal messages, and that's, you know, like how we move that connection one step further. So how can they reach out, get in touch with you if they want to, you know, learn more about you, see what you're up to, and be in touch with you and your community?
Sure, no problem. So, so the best way to reach me is through Instagram, Snapchat. Instagram and Snapchat, and then also I would also say Facebook too. So my Snapchat is Conversation Guru, Conversation Guru. I didn't come up with that name. I did a seminar one time, and then I asked them, "What should my Instagram name be?" Before I started, and they're like, "Conversation something." I'm like, "Conversation what?" I don't know. You're so good in conversation. Conversation Guru. I was like, all right. And it got stuck. My Snapchat is listen, like the word listen, the underscore, the number 2, and then to learn. Listen _ to learn. Snapchat is very, very personal. Like you can send me a personal snap and we can connect there and we can be friends and we can connect or do something. And my Facebook is facebook.com/Aurus, AURUS, capital J, and then Sanchez. And then / again. But I know you'll probably write this on the show notes or something like that. Absolutely. But yeah, those are the 3 best ways to reach out to me. And if you want to reach to me on Instagram, send me a personal direct message, and I'll get back to you. I get hundreds every week, but I get back to everybody. Or Snap, send me a message there and I'll get back to you. Or Facebook, send me a message. If I don't get to you the same day, but I will get to you the next day or the next 2 days, but I will get in touch with you. I will. And one last thing is you mentioned that I followed you and then we continue from there on. You have to remember, you can follow people, right? Everyone's watching. You can follow people. But if your content is not good or you're not providing value, yeah, you could follow someone and they might click in your account. But if it's not good, they're not going to reach out back to you. So make sure your content is special. Like you're actually giving people not just selfies. I mean, if you were Kim Kardashian or Tom Cruise, I get it. Like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, okay. You can afford to take selfies because you're famous. But 99.9% of all of us, we're not there. I'm not there, so I don't be putting selfies. I do selfie videos because I'm giving away something for free, or I'm giving you great advice. So have awesome content that people can relate to. So when people see that you follow them and they're like, "Who is this person?" They click on you, like, "Oh, who is this guy? I like his stuff. Let me contact him."
Awesome, Aurus. Really, it's been a pleasure, and I love your energy. And I think there's definitely a huge amount of value you gave in here. Nuggets galore. So I really appreciate you being on here today. So thank you, man.
Thank you, Donovan, so much.
All right.